Welcome back to Your Lawn Sucks, but that's okay, because mine does too, and we're going to fix it. Today we're going to take a look at the Soil Savvy test results that I got back for the back lawn here, and we're going to go through and calculate how much lime we need to put down on the back lawn to raise that soil pH up to be where it needs to. There is a way to do this. It was a little bit tricky for me to find out, but there is a way, and I'm going to show you how. Let's check it out. If you want a sneak peek at what we're going to be making today, very, very quickly, this is it right here. We have, these are our charts of data that we're going to gather, and then you can actually input what your current soil pH is, and then it will output pounds of lime per 1,000 square feet that you need to put down on your lawns. First, what we need to do is take a look at the soil test itself to determine what our current soil pH is at. So here is the soil report that I got for my back lawn. You can see, first and foremost, our NP and K were a little bit low, but this is awesome because we're so close in all of these levels. I can just continue putting down what I'm doing, and even if I could find a 16, 16, 16, that's perfect. Now the Milorganite is going to give us obviously the N and the P, so we can just continue using that as usual. Probably will supplement with fertilizer that anything I can find, within these numbers here. Calcium, magnesium, and sulfur are all things that are good in my lawn, so I'm not going to worry about that. Actually, the same thing with the sodium. I'm not going to worry about that either. If you want to take a look, you can look down at the bottom of your soil test here and actually read about what these things can do for your lawn. The iron is something that we're also going to get from our Milorganite. Remember, it has a 2% iron content in it, so I'm also not worried about this. I'm going to test again at the end of the year and see how much the iron has changed. However, if you want to raise your iron up, or yours is very, very low, you can also add supplemental iron, whether it's a liquid form. I know there are people out there who do liquid sprays of iron. You could also use a product like Ironite. You find it at the home stores, very readily available. The manganese and the zinc are some of the micronutrients that will become more available in the soil as our pH starts to go up. At our current pH, there's some available, but it's not there for uptake. And that's what the Soil Savvy tests in itself is, the uptake availability, I guess, for your grass root to take these nutrients in. So we're going to raise up our soil pH, and that will make these values go up as well. If you want, you can also throw down some humic 12 or RGS. Those will also help with this. If you want to do a straight shot of all your micronutrients, you can also do, I believe it's called microgreen, all by the next product, and get your micronutrients that way. I'm gonna maybe ignore them right now. We'll see how I feel halfway through the summer, but that's kind of the plan right now. Copper we're good with. I wish it was actually a little bit higher because it helps with disease resistance, but oh well, that is what it is. I'm not going to worry about boron or aluminum. Now the soil pH, we're at 5.83 down here. You can see here 5.83. So what I want to do is raise that to not only between 6 and 7, I want to raise mine to about 6.5 to 7.2, somewhere in that range. That's the very healthy range for cool season grasses. That's just from what I found online. I know nothing else besides that, but that's what I'm going to be shooting for. You might ask yourself, how do we find the amount of lime that we need to put down to raise our soil pH? By the way, if you need to lower your pH, you can use sulfur for that. I do not know the calculations for sulfur and its pH value, or to bring your pH value down. So maybe I can look at that in the future, but I won't look at that right now. So I need to raise mine up from 5.83 to about 6.5. So I did some looking around online. I did find a website. It's called Gardening Calculators on garden.org. and you can actually see here that there's a calculator for lime. You input your existing pH, the type of soil that you have, and the amount of square footage of your garden or your lawn in our case, and then it will spit out a number in pounds of lime that you need for that space. We're going to put in 1,000 square feet because we want to know in that 1,000 square foot how much we need to put down, and that's how we calculate all of our chemicals. So we'll just continue with 1,000 square foot increments. Now, I don't know what type of soil you have. You may have sandy soil, you may have loamy soil, which is kind of a mix between sand and clay, or you might have hard clay soil. I'm going to calculate the loam soil because that's about what I have. I think mine gears a little bit more towards sandy, but when I take some out of the ground, I can kind of crumple it into a little ball and it'll hold its shape. So I'm going to go with loam soil type. And then for the existing pH, it gives us increments of half of a pH. Now, pH is something that's taken in a logarithmic scale. So what that means is from 4 to 5, the strength is multiplied by 10. From 5 to 6, that's 10 times stronger. Because I know my soil pH is 5.83, we can obviously see this value is not in here. We need to calculate it. We're going to use all the data that's given to us in order to calculate this value. So we're going to say 4, loamy, 1,000 square foot, and calculate. And we say, oh, I will need 161 pounds of limestone to raise your pH to 6.5 to 6.8. That's great. That's like right in the range that I want to hit. So I take this value and I put it in my Excel sheet. So what we're going to do is we're going to type in our pH and we're going to type in how many pounds of product we're going to need on our 1,000 square foot area. And then we know, because we can read it on this website, if our pH is 4.0, we know that we need 161 pounds of product. Then we can go back and put in 4.5 and calculate. And we need 133 pounds. So then we can say 4.5 and we have 133, not 83. And we're going to do this at 5.0, 5.5, and 6. We're going to look back, and each of these numbers is calculated for us. So we know at 5, we have 106, 5.5, we have 78, and 6, we have 35 pounds. We're going to take all this data, we're going to insert a scatter plot. Now, we can see our line kind of goes down here. Our values are a little bit skewed because it starts the chart from 0 to 4. So to fix this, we're going to double click on the actual axis itself, and we can tell it that we want a minimum value of, let's say, 3.5. And that looks a little bit better. So now we are between 3.5 and 6.5. Let's actually move this up to 7. Our ideal pH is between 6 and 7. So now what we can do is actually go in here and select the data, and we're going to add a trend line to this data. Now, there's a couple different things that we can do here. We can choose a exponential, linear, logarithmic, polynomial power, or a moving average for a trend line. We know that a pH is logarithmic, so we're going to start with this one to see what it looks like, and we want to display the r squared value on the chart, because the higher the r squared value is to 1, the better our trend line fits our data. So we can see we're at a 0.9767, and that's pretty good. So with the polynomial, we can see that we have an R value of 0.9971. That's the closest out of all of these values. So we're going to stick with this value instead of the exponential. So now what we do is display the equation on the chart. Now we have our R squared value, and we have our equation here, and Y is the pounds of product. That's the vertical axis here, the pounds of product we need to raise our soil pH. And X is the soil pH that we currently have. So in order to type in a value that we want and have Excel do this math for us, what we want to do is type in our Y value. This trend line is given to us, which is the amount of lime, pounds per thousand, that we need to raise our pH from our X value, our current pH, to 6.5 to 6.8. So we type in this equation, we have equals negative 8.8571 times our X value, the current pH, squared, plus 27.171 times our current pH, plus 192.6. So now what we can do is actually type in our pH and have Excel spreadsheet spit out the amount of product that we need per 1,000 square feet. But first, let's check it. So let's type in a value that we know, like 4.0, and see what we get. 159.57 pounds per 1,000. The chart said 161, so this is good. We're gonna say that this is okay. I know that I have a value of 5.83 for my pH, so let's type in 5.83 and hit enter. Now it says that I need approximately 50 pounds per 1,000 square feet in order to raise my pH from 5.83 to approximately 6.8 to 7.2. This is the value that we're going to try to hit. So what we can do with that information is now go online and find lime that we can throw down in the yard. So if we look at any of the big box stores, we're going to find pelletized dolomitic lime. We can actually calculate how much lime that we need based on the square footage of your lawn. So I have 20,000 square feet, and I know that I need 50 pounds per 1,000 square feet, so I can multiply 50 times 20, and I get 1,000 pounds. So I would need 1,000 pounds of lime to boost my pH where it needs to be. So if I go to any of the big box stores, I'm gonna find that I have 40 to 50 pound bags of limestone. This one currently by Weaver is a 40-pound bag, so I can take 1,000 and divide it by 40 pounds, which means I would need 25 bags of this lime, which means I would need to spread 25 bags of this lime. Not to mention, 25 times 450, we're talking $112 for this limestone. So if you want to go that route, you're perfectly fine to do so. In fact, it's better to go with this type of lime than the one that I'm gonna go with, but I want to raise my pH very, very quickly, and I want to see the results within this summer for sure. I would love within the month. So I'm gonna go with a fast-acting lime. The fast-acting lime is by Pennington. There's another brand called Stay Green. They also make a fast-acting one. A fast-acting lime, you can see that a 30-pound bag covers 5,000 square feet, which 30 divided by 5 is 6. So their coverage is 6 pounds per 1,000 square feet. We can also look and see that one bag of the fast-acting lime is equal to about 5 bags of regular lime, and that's great. That means 5 bags of regular lime, which were 40 pounds apiece. So this 130-pound bag is equivalent to a 200 pounds of typical lime that you'd throw down on your lawn, which means I can use 5 times less of the fast-acting lime than I would the regular lime. So I looked up the product label for the Pennington brand fast-acting lime, and this is a PDF of the label that I found. So it gives you a chart, and it says if you have 6.0 or above, you can throw 1 bag per 5,000 square feet to raise your soil where it needs to be. For my pH, I'm between 5.5 and 6.0, and it says throw down 60 pounds or 2 bags per 5,000 square feet. And this will raise my pH to between 6.8 to 7.2. I am shooting for about 6.5 to 7.2. So because of that fact, and that my pH is kind of in the midpoint between these two, I'm going to throw a rate of 9 pounds per thousand, which is the halfway point between the 6 pound per thousand at the lower rate here of 30 and 12 pounds per thousand at the higher rate of 60, which again, 60 over 5,000, that's 12 pounds per that's 12 pounds per 1,000 square feet. So again, just to reiterate, because I'm halfway approximately between 5.5 and 6, I'm going to take the halfway point between 30 and 60 and use that as my rate for my per 1,000 square feet. Halfway between 6 and 12 is 9. So I'm going to use 9 pounds per 1,000 for my lawn to raise my pH. This is also okay because I'm shooting for a pH that is slightly lower than what they're recommending. So if we go on the website, we can look up the Stay Green Rapid Lime, which we're going to assume is equivalent in coverage because they're both 30 pounds, they're both 5,000 square foot bags. And because it's a 5,000 square foot bag, I can calculate 20,000 square feet of lawn divided by 5,000 square foot of bag. That means I need about 4 bags of this lime. I have to be careful here because I know that I'm applying at 9 pounds per 1,000. So what we're gonna do is take 9 times our 20,000 square feet, and that will give us the pounds that we need for all of our 20,000 square feet. So I'm going to be using 180 pounds total product. And if I divide that by a 30-pound bag, that gives me 6 bags of lime that I need for my entire lawn to be able to use 9 pounds per 1,000 square feet. Also, what we can use the soil report for is to calculate how much fertilizer it's recommending with a synthetic or an organic fertilizer. So this is extremely handy if you can find a 16-16-16 synthetic fertilizer you can apply at 3.7 pounds per 1,000 square feet. But what if you don't have that? What if you can only find 12-12-12? What does this mean? How do you exchange those rates? How do you do the math? Well, I'll show you. At 3.75 pounds of a 16-16-16, we essentially want to calculate how much of these nutrients it's telling us to have. So we can take 0.16 because it's 16%, 0.16 times 3.75 pounds per 1,000. We can calculate that it's recommending we throw 0.6 pounds per 1,000 square feet of nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. So then we can take that number and look at our 12-12-12 that is at my local store. So to make my math easy, I'm going to multiply my 0.6 times 100 and get 60. That way, instead of doing the math in my head of 0.12, I can use 12. I can use big whole numbers. So 60 divided by 12 is 5. So 5 pounds per 1,000 of 12-12-12 is equivalent to 3.75 pounds per 1,000 of 16-16-16. Real quick, let's just calculate this again. If we want to throw 5 pounds per 1,000, we can multiply this by our percentage of nitrogen, which is 0.12, and we get 0.6 pounds of nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium per 1,000 square feet. So this is the product that we're going to use for our lawn, and we're going to put it down at 5 pounds per 1,000 square feet.
So I hope that you learned something in this video, and hopefully it's pretty easy to calculate how much lime you need for your lawn when your soil pH is too low. Also, it's super important to remember that you can, or you should, take soil tests to see all these different things about your lawn that maybe will make more sense as to why you have problem areas. The soil test is also super helpful to show you how much fertilizer they recommend, or the professionals recommend, that you throw down, and that you can calculate different values for different fertilizers that might be near you. So we are one step closer to making sure that our lawn does not suck for the remainder of the year. Thanks for watching.